Welcome back to the newest episode of Boundless Literature. I'm your host, Harrison Hook, and today we're going to talk about the Snow Queen and how it changed over the years from a story about Christian ideals and our perception of others to a commentary on the opioid epidemic and the importance of not living in the past. So strap in for another fanciful dive into the world of the Snow Queen. Hans Christian Andersen is a maverick in the fairy tale community, making some of the most well-known fairy tales of all time, injecting values of a traditional society and showing the importance that it would have in the reader society as well. This is made even more evident within the initial version of the Snow Queen tale by Mr. Andersen himself. This strong underlying message of the importance of Christian values is pervasive throughout the story, with the most core character values Hans wants to be emulated from the characters of the story into the reader is encapsulated in "Roses bloom and cease to be, but we shall the Christ child see," which utilizes the metaphor of the prevalence of the Christian God. Furthermore, timelessness in fairy tales is often an incredibly hard goal to achieve. Being able to apply the values of a story to a reader, regardless of the time in which it is read, requires the building of a timeless story in which the character lives free of a period, and instead in a reality that can easily blend into our own. Hans attempts to create this atmosphere through the opening line, "When the story is done, you shall know a great deal more than you do know," which utilizes metafiction to establish a direct line from the reader to gain meaning from the author's story. When the author's target demographic changes, so does the story built around it, shaping the interests and values their readers hold, driving a more impactful story. This brings us into our second piece of the evening, The Gilmore of Kensington Market by Lauren B. Davis, which details a neighborhood battle in a fantastical Kensington market in Canada against the powerful street drug Elysium, using the story arc and core characters of the original Snow Queen tale to achieve it. This novel utilized the opioid epidemic that struck the United States in the early 2010s and the author's own personal loss to drug abuse to deliver upon the reader a harsh commentary on the brutality of drug addiction and the challenge it presents not only to those using it, but to those close to them. This reality of the toll in which drugs play on the user and the lure of bliss secretly coding a world of addiction is highlighted by Miss Davis, using the first-hand experience of its effects coming through the first introduction we have to Elysium. It burrowed into our darkest crannies, your memories, your heart, and found the things you regretted most, the things you feared, the things of which you are ashamed, and dragged them into the world. This confronting language on the cruelty that drug abuse presents to the victim is delivered using emotive language and imagery to allow an understanding for the reader, regardless of whether they have knowledge of its brutality, to gain a deeper understanding. This carries into the depiction of the antagonist of the novel, who is both a person and a representation of societal strain placed on individuals who fall into the pit of addiction, and the source of their perpetual battle against it. This is made evident in the quote, "She is an envious, restless, irritable, and discontent soul. Always wants what isn't good for her or anybody else, and is never satisfied. She is, to be blunt, nothing but a bottomless pit of insatiable hunger, the essence of addiction." Miss David utilizes the recurring metaphor of the allusion to the real world process of addiction and the user's relationship with their dealer. As time progresses, the societal need for a story that represents the values and newly created global audience with a variety of morals changes in response. This is made most evident within Disney's motion picture adaptation of the Snow Queen, Frozen. A global audience requires a story applicable to all, with a message adaptable to all peoples. The adaptability of the modern fairy tale is essential in reaching a wider audience, often using classic tropes and character profiles, and with a more simplified plot in order to streamline the story. This is made evident within Frozen with the subversion of the original, with the removal of the troll or devil character from the story, who served as the main antagonist, towards a more global story about the importance of overcoming the past and becoming stronger from it. Values from long-gone societies may not always reach the same audience in the modern world, using outdated or unpopular ideals that must be changed in order to reach a new target demographic. This is made clear in the major thematic differences between the original tale and the one Frozen wishes to tell. Most importantly, the removal of the Lord's Prayer spoken by Gerda, in the original, who is portrayed as Anna in this story. This change results in a drastically different feel being given by the film, one that was originally focused on a Eurocentric form of storytelling. In conclusion, fairy tales are an extremely adaptable genre that changes to represent the values of the societies